Hey everyone, welcome back to Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris,
And I'm Chelsea.
and today we are on episode 38 talking about week 3 of the offseason. Today we're going to get into Aaron Donald talking about his potential retirement and the top 3 teams in the draft and what they're going to need. And let's see who they're going to pick. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But Chelsea, how are you doing today?
Well, it's a sad time because not only is it the NFL offseason, but baseball got delayed because they couldn't sign a new deal.
Sad.
So now I don't even have baseball. It's like, and like the NBA is on, and like that's super great and awesome. Did you see that John Morant dropped a 50 piece yesterday or whatever and had that dunk and that 3-pointer and that crossover? And like that dude, he's the next
He's a
big
baller.
thing in the NBA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's entertaining. And like hockey is entertaining, but like I'm a Pacers fan and like we suck, we never win. And on top of that, I can never see our games. But I will say the Hurricanes, they are good this year. They're kind of nice. So I got that going for me. But I really just need like baseball to start, because football is gone. So then I look forward to baseball starting. And then baseball didn't start because Rob Manfred is just greedy, I guess. I don't know. But I am glad that the combine started this week because it's in Indy. Though apparently it's not going to be in Indy next year, which is really weird because the combine is typically in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. But it started this week, and all the GMs and coaches and owners are doing all their presses and saying things, and then those things are getting blown out of proportion, and everyone's talking about it. So that's entertaining.
And hey, this month is March Madness. So that's
It
always
is.
hype.
Oh, I totally forgot about college basketball. I do have college basketball. That's good. But like college basketball is like really great, but it's not like one of the main four, It's like when football ends, like yay, have college basketball. But then you look forward to baseball and hockey and basketball and college basketball all being on at the same time. And it's just not. But I do have golf. So I got that going for me. But I'm really the only one who cares about that. So
Yeah, one of like what, 5 fans, and most of them are like what,
excuse
60 or
me.
70.
That is not true, first of all. Golf is one of the most
I
popular sports in
know.
the world, you hater.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, no,
God.
respect to all sports. Look, even though you may not enjoy them all, it doesn't mean the sport sucks. It just because something isn't for you. So you know what?
Dude, in quarantine, I watched professional hand wrestling or arm wrestling. So, I mean, really, you can make a sport out of anything. I watched a video on YouTube for professional ear pulling. What does that even mean?
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, their earlobes are like down to their knees, bro. It's nasty.
That's disgusting. Okay, anyways, gonna get that
Maybe
thought out of
not.
my mind.
I think they use rubber bands, actually. I don't think their earlobes are down to their knees, though that is a disgusting thought.
Anyways, let's just get right into it now that we've put all of that in our brains. So, the first
Yay.
topic, we got a couple topics we want to talk about today. And the first one wanted to discuss was, well, Aaron Donald, during his parade, his celebration, he was chilling in his car about to go on his way to Vegas, and a bunch of fans saw him. He's probably stuck in LA traffic because, I mean, that's LA. They have like the worst traffic you can have. But he was chilling in his car, and some fans are all like, yeah, like celebrating him, like world champs. And they all huddle up to his car. And then this person like records and says, hey, are you retiring this season? He's like, if we bring back all the guys, he's like, bring back the team and bring back, he specifically named Odell Beckham and Von Miller, and that if they bring those guys back, that he'll be back. So, Chelsea, do you think that this is official confirmation that if those guys are coming back, like he's back, he is not really planning on retiring? Or do you think he was just kind of in the moment with, he's in his car, fans are, excited for him, and, they're excited. He's on his way to Vegas about to celebrate. What, like, do you think this was official? Like, this was a very like chill way to respond to all this?
Personally, I think that his retirement is a pipe dream. I don't think he's actually going to retire. He is arguably the best player in the NFL right now. And if he did retire, it would shock the league. Obviously, like he is older, but the fact that he is older and is still arguably one of the best means that he's still in his prime. And I don't see him retiring, though. In recent years, we have seen players in their prime retire, i.e., Andrew Luck, but he had a lot of injury issues, so that contributed. And Luke Kuechly, who also had injury issues. Aaron Donald doesn't really have those issues. He doesn't have like chronic injury issues. So, really, if he was going to retire, it would be to retire on top. It wouldn't be because of his injury history or anything like that. I don't see him retiring. Because I think that he wants to keep playing and wants to keep proving to everyone that he is unarguably the best player in the league. It would definitely surprise me if he did retire, but I don't know. The whole thing of like, yeah, man, if we bring back Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr., like, yeah, those guys are probably some of his best friends, but let's be realistic. I mean, teams that have guys on them that are best friends get broken up all the time. Like, it's not a new occurrence. So even if they didn't come back, I'd say that the chance of him returning is still probably pretty strong. I don't think that he would leave LA. He would either stay or he would retire. He wouldn't ask to be traded. He wouldn't, try to sign somewhere else, force his way out. He'd either retire or he wouldn't. Personally, I don't think he will. But if he does, dude, the Rams are going to go downhill on defense if he retires. Like, even though they won the Super Bowl, if they get everyone back but him, they will go downhill because he's that much of an impact guy.
So you think they're going way down without him?
I mean, I think they're still a playoff caliber team, and I still think that they could make a run at the championship, but their defense is going to change drastically without Donald. I mean, yeah, they have playmakers on every level of their defense, but Donald is the anchor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one that allows Von Miller to get sacks. He's the one that allows cornerback blitzes. Like, he's the guy because he's such a threat. When you don't have Aaron Donald there anymore, you don't have to triple team him. You can spread those guys out to everyone else, and it gives you more of a fair shot. Like, they'll still be a good team if he retires, but I don't think that they'll win the Super Bowl again. Like, I don't think they'll win next year if he retires. I mean, they probably won't win next year anyways because they signed all of these veterans to 1-year deals and they're not going to be able to keep all of them. That's just kind of the reality of it. But no, I don't think he retires.
Mm-hmm. That's
like
fair.
In the next 5 years, probably, because he is over 30. So I would say in the next 5 years, but this year, no, I think he wants to keep going. I mean, he just got Matthew Stafford. Like, he finally has a competent offense. Like, no, I think that he's going to keep playing. I'll be very surprised if he retires.
I think that's fair because, I mean, I don't know, what his mindset was like while all that was happening around him and all that stuff, but he
Maybe
could
it's a
have just
family thing.
But I'm just talking about like in the specific video that came out about it. Like, I don't know what, his mindset kind of was like in the moment, if he was just, riding off the excitement. But I don't think so. I actually do think like he wants to keep playing. And I think you are right now that he's got a good quarterback. He's got a good enough offense. He's got studs on defense alongside of him. Why would you not want to play in that, if you're him? Like, you train and you try to get to this point so you can play on these high level teams and contribute. And not only does he contribute, like you said, he is the anchor to that team's defense. He is what allows the corners to do what they can. He steps up and makes big time plays that win the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, I don't think he was kidding in this video. There was a little bit like, okay, maybe he was just relaxing. Who knows? He could have
I
been
would
drinking
want my
all
best
day. I
friends
don't
back
know.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd want my best friends back too, but I think that he's just too good right now to retire. Like, next year, if there is a clear drop off in talent from him, okay, I could see him retiring, or if he sustains an injury or something. But this year, I don't know. He's probably on top of the world. I don't really see him wanting to, go away from that. Like, Tom Brady retired and then unretired and then actually retired, after they didn't win the Super Bowl. you know? Like I feel like if Donald is going to retire, it's going to be because he can't get back to the Super Bowl rather than because he won the Super Bowl. Kind of like Tom Brady-esque.
Yeah, and that's fair. So either way, I think that Donald will probably still be in the league. I think Rams fans don't have to sweat it too much. But even if he does retire, he deserves it. No one should
Oh
be
yeah.
mad at him about it. Now, and I don't think he'd just retire, very late into the offseason. Hopefully not, because that would be bad for the Rams. Very bad, actually.
I feel like he wouldn't do that.
I mean, hey, if anything, it's been Aaron Rodgers that's been kind of like no one knows with him, and so I don't
True.
really know what the mindset between these two are, but I
The
think
errands, man. All these
I know,
errands are
right?
causing all this drama.
There you go. But I think that I mean, yeah, Donald, like you said, he's on top of the world right now. He is relaxing. He is living his best life. He won the Super Bowl. There's not many better highs you can get in the football career. There's literally nothing better you can get to. I guess you could win another, or in Tom Brady's case, win like all of them. But
That's true. Shout out to Eli Manning.
I know. Shout out to Eli for stopping it for a little bit of time. And then
Seriously. Dude.
and
Side
Nick
note though.
Foles.
That's true. Side note, words are hard. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is going to come on the Pat McAfee show to announce what he's going to be doing, like if he's going to stay or leave or been traded or, whatever. And Pat McAfee lives in Indiana. So that's all I have to say about that.
Does Indiana have the money to do it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That would be interesting. I mean,
That's the issue, though. I mean, how many more good years are you going to get out of him? Like, is he really just another Band-Aid? Like, I know he just won MVP again, but
yeah, exactly.
but
I mean,
still, he's how old is he? What, 36? 35?
well, if you're Brady, you have 9 more years, apparently. 8 or
Well,
9 more years.
not everyone is Tom Brady.
I know what
Like,
you mean.
don't get me wrong. I would not be salty at all if the Colts got Aaron Rodgers, but you just wonder, it's like, how many years are you going to get out of him? Because if it's only going to be like 1 year, like I'd rather just take a rookie.
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that.
He's 38.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of where that develops, but I think we can kind of let's see how that story develops, and I'd love to talk about it more.
I'm
kind
watching all of the headlines,
Mhm.
all of them.
But yeah, so anyways, let's move on to the next topic we kind of wanted to talk about was the NFL draft order. So, we've got that settled, not that hard to figure out, but I think what's interesting, look at the top 3 teams that are going to be there. We got the Jaguars at 1, the Lions at 2, and Houston at 3. It's almost as if like the Jags being at 1 again after being at 1 last year. Dang, I mean, not much has changed, has it? And Detroit, what's weird? Detroit really was bad this year, but they really just lost in like spectacular fashion. Like
They don't have a bad team
No, they
compared to
don't.
like the Jags or the Texans. Their team is not bad.
They weren't getting blown out every game. In fact, they lost even one game to a record-setting field goal from Justin
Yeah.
Tucker, which is just
Come
like,
on, Justin. Let them have this moment, man.
no, not allowed. But anyways, I kind of wanted to talk about NFL.com put out a top 3 needs for each of these teams in the top 10. And I think what's interesting, you've got so Jacksonville, let's say, the NFL.com lists their biggest needs as offensive linemen. I fully agree. Wide receiver, fully agree, and corner. I think that all 3 of those things are a need for them. I think they have just needs everywhere, to be honest. They got rid of CJ Henderson to Carolina last year. So, and their defense wasn't that great. I mean, I don't know. I just think that Jacksonville has so many needs, but I do think offensive line should be their priority because Trevor Lawrence needs protection. He needs help. Like, man's dying out there. Like, yeah, okay, he struggled at times this year. Like, not everything was due to his offensive line, but my goodness, like, dude, you got to help him out a little bit. You can't just throw him to the wolves and just have him die out there, expect him to be great. You know, I know some will say, well, Joe
Yeah.
Burrow's done it, but Joe Burrow also got Jamar Chase and had T. Higgins and other people like that as his receivers. And, and Jacksonville doesn't really have that great of a receiving core either. So it's like, who's Trevor
Right.
even throwing to? Who's protecting him? What's going on
Yeah.
here? Like, you can't do much with this offense right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a draft that NFL put out, and they have Jacksonville taking Evan Neal, the stud offensive tackle from Alabama, which I mean, this shouldn't really surprise anyone. I mean, after seeing all that Trevor went through without his O line last year, or his lack of a good O line, that really shouldn't surprise anyone. I mean, Evan Neal is really good. And if Trevor Lawrence ends up being a bust, which I don't think will happen, but if he ends up being a bust, is part of it going to be on him? Absolutely. But is a lot of it going to be on his lack of help and that he just didn't have anyone to develop with? Yeah. I mean, you can have the best player in the world on your team, but if they're the only competent guy, I mean, they just aren't going to be able to reach their full capability. So, I mean, I fully agree with this pick because Trevor Lawrence desperately needs this real bad.
Yeah. And I think kind of with the other two teams, right? So the Detroit Lions, NFL.com has their biggest list or biggest needs as quarterback, defensive end, and wide receiver. I
don't
agree with those.
agree.
You don't
I
agree?
don't agree with quarterback. I think Goff gets hated on too much.
So do you think like if some, because I do think a guy like, let's say, Kenny Pickett will still be there, right? Do you
You
think
just traded for him though. Like you're really going to give up on him after a year?
it happened to Josh Rosen?
Well, Josh Rosen was a lot worse.
You could argue though his situation, like he was put in just an awful situation, played a few games and then was given up on immediately.
I mean, I feel like if the Lions are going to take a rookie quarterback, that you don't take one in the first round. I feel like they have more pressing needs than that, especially with Goff already there. Like, if you want to take someone and groom them and have them start in a year or two, like, sure. But you just, gave up Stafford for Goff. I feel like they wouldn't have given up Stafford to get Goff if they didn't think there was some kind of potential there.
That's fair. I mean, and Goff really hasn't been that terrible. He's not great, to be honest, and we know
I
that.
mean, he's
But
maybe a little above average. I mean, he's not spectacular. No one's going to say that. But I mean, he's better than a lot of other guys.
I agree. They're honestly not. I agree. I think a defensive end or a wide receiver might actually be better for them to take because, I mean, one, you can take a wide receiver to you know, help out
Help him
Jared
out.
Goff a little
Yeah.
more. And a defensive end always can come in huge for a team in general, can make a huge impact on a team's
Yeah.
culture. Look at JJ Watt, what he did for that culture in Houston. They never got to a massive amount of wins, but they were able to make playoff runs.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I kind of think that the other two would be a better option than quarterback for Detroit. I agree with you on that.
And I mean, if you kind of flip it back to Jacksonville, like one of the primary reasons that Jacksonville doesn't have defensive end listed is because they have Josh Allen, who literally is stuck on a terrible team and pops off every year. Like, yeah, he's only one guy, but he's a premier pass rusher stuck on a terrible team and is still really good. But I mean, I feel like if you're the Lions and you need pass rush with Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau both being on the board and both potentially being perennial talents, I feel like if you took a wide receiver there, that would be a reach, especially with the level of talent with other positions that would still be there.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I don't really know what these teams are exactly thinking. I just think personally, they'll do offensive line for Jacksonville. And
I agree with that.
and Detroit, I guess, like, I mean, they did offensive line last year. I don't think they do that again. They might, who knows? But, and then third, you've got Houston. It's funny. NFL.com here says that Houston needs help everywhere.
I mean, is that a lie?
Their biggest needs, they say, are cornerback, quarterback, and defensive end. I think, honestly, I mean, maybe corner. I don't know a ton about their defense, and I apologize for that. Quarterback, I mean, Davis Mills wasn't that bad, honestly. I think they should give him another chance at the year and see how he does before just giving up, because he showed improvement throughout the year. Like, there's much worse you could have had. So maybe use this year to kind of build on some other pieces. And, while we have a couple quarterbacks this year, like Howell and Kenny Pickett and others.
But hear me out. What
do
if
you
they
think?
take Pickett at 3?
Take Pickett at 3?
Yeah, because this draft that I'm looking at from NFL.com has Pickett going at 6 to the Panthers. What if they messed everything up and took Pickett at 3? Because was Davis Mills awful? No, he wasn't awful, but he's not going to be the starter for that team. He's just not good enough. But I mean, do you take a risk and take Pickett that high? I personally would not. But the Texans are known for not making good decisions. So it would not surprise me. What do you think about that?
I mean, I could see it. I guess, like, they could. It's not like the most unlikely thing, in my opinion. I do think they need more help on defense, though. I think they should probably just focus on that. But I mean, I guess it is something you could do if you really believe someone like Pickett or Willis or Sam Howell is truly going to be a stud. Then I guess you can go for it. I know this year it's odd. Last year was like considered to be a very quarterback heavy class, and it was. I mean, look at the top 10 picks and kind of what happened there. But I think that this year it may not be considered that. It doesn't mean that this year's quarterback class is going to be terrible. People always say, oh, none of the quarterbacks are good this year. No one actually knows. Like, get out of here with that. But I could see it, I guess, but I don't know. It just feels like you have so many other needs. And considering you're doing okay at quarterback right now, like, maybe he's not bad. Like I said, he's gotten better over time. He's
not bad, but he's not going to carry them on offense.
But I don't think that's the plan you have to have right now. Like, you don't have to have someone that'll carry you right now as you're rebuilding. You just need somebody that can at least be okay, can at least manage the games and keep you in them. And then you build other pieces around. And then
but you can't get anywhere without a quarterback, though. But I mean, then again, look at the Jags. I mean, they have a quarterback and no one else, and they're still bad. So the argument goes either way.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. Yes, you can't get to an elite level without a good quarterback most of the time. I mean, I guess Denver a few years ago won it with Peyton Manning, who was kind of at the tail end of his career. He wasn't very good that year. And he admitted Von Miller carried him to the Super Bowl. He said it.
He did.
So, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, it is doable. You have to have, though, like, a Hall of Fame level defense to do that. But we're not even talking about Super Bowl for Houston. We're talking about just kind of how, I guess we're just going to see what happens. I mean, they still have a whole situation with Deshaun Watson going on. They've got to figure all that out.
So hear me out. What if all the legal stuff with Deshaun Watson gets done before the draft? And then they trade him on draft day and get like 3 first-round picks and like a really good player. And then if they want, they can take Pickett or Howell or whoever. I mean, them taking a quarterback is really dependent on Deshaun Watson, because if they work out everything with Deshaun Watson, he'll be able to play. Now, will he be as good? That remains to be seen. When we have seen really good players not play for a year, notoriously, they have come back and not been as good. So only time will tell with that. But it's going to be very interesting. If they can work it out with Deshaun before the draft, I could see them taking a quarterback. But if they don't, I doubt that they take one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think he'll ever play for them again. Definitely
I mean, he
not.
doesn't even want to outside of his
No,
legal drama.
exactly. Yeah, I
And if
mean
they
that
take a quarterback on top of him, he's going to be like, bye.
that would be even funnier. He'd be like, they can just look at him and be like, well, if you're not good, we have your replacement ready.
It'd be like Rodgers with Love, except Love is actually not good. And Rodgers won MVP twice in a row. So
Hey, maybe Jordan Love can get it together. Well, I'm not convinced he's not good yet. I'm not convinced he's good either, though. So, but
I
yeah,
don't think that there's a ton of evidence that points towards him being good. But at the same time, there isn't a ton of evidence that doesn't. So only time will tell.
that's fair. Well, either way, I think that this Houston team might be the most ambiguous of the top three of who they're going to pick. It's going to depend on who's
They could
there.
take anyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to depend on who's there. It's going to depend on what they think they need the most. And I'm just saying, I personally think they need to upgrade their defense more. I think they need to get a real impact player like a defensive end because those
Like
guys,
Thibodeau.
yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that defensive ends can really mess things up. Corners are very valuable. I'm not going to sit here and argue that a corner is not, as valuable, but I think something about defensive ends is, they wreak havoc. They make people change their whole game plans just to cover, they'll have to put 2 or 3 guys on them or whatever. They can mess up a quarterback and mess up their rhythm. And I'm not saying a corner can't do that. They definitely can. But I think in some ways the game lends itself a little bit easier for a defensive end to think about it, to do that, because if you think about it, cornerbacks aren't always thrown to. They're not always having to make plays on the ball. But what does a defensive end have to do? Every play they're in, they are trying to get to the quarterback, unless they're trying to read a screen or something like that. That's why I think that the defensive end in this case might be the better pick, is because it creates more, or it's a bigger impact most of the time. Now, obviously, if you got a guy like Jalen Ramsey for the Rams or something, he shuts down a whole part of the field. You literally can't throw to that side, or you can, but you're really testing him, which normally most quarterbacks don't want to do. So, I don't know. I guess either one has their impact, but I just would argue that defensive ends tend to have a bigger impact, and they tend to be pretty good from the start. Remember Nick Bosa, like his first year, just came in and dominated. Nick Chubb came in. He's been very good. Like
Nick Chubb is a running back.
Or not Nick Chubb, Bradley Chubb. Sorry, my bad. Bradley Chubb came in, has made an impact for the Broncos, making them a team that, kind of talk about Aaron Rodgers, that maybe Rodgers is considering going to, if he doesn't mind, the mountains. But
I will say, though, defensive end is really hard to develop. Like, if you do not 100% hit on someone and they just come into the league and they look like a rookie, defensive ends, for the most part, outside of, those few guys that you've mentioned, like the Joey and the Nick Bosas of the world, like the vast majority of them, it takes a hot second for them to get adjusted to the NFL, just because it's so different from college.
mm-hmm.
So that's why the defensive ends that can be there in the top 3, being Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson, those guys are already premier. Like, of course, you can't accurately predict how they're going to play in the league because you just haven't seen them. But when you have that level of talent at edge or at defensive end, it's really, really hard to not take it, because it takes so long to develop defensive ends. Like the Colts last draft, we took Kwity Paye, who's a defensive end out of Michigan. He had a good year for a rookie. He had like 4 sacks, which is not bad for a rookie, but no one talks about him because he didn't have the kind of impact that a Nick Bosa or a Joey Bosa had. Like, you have the Kwity Payes of the world that come in and make an impact, but aren't like superstars coming out. And then you have Nick Bosa. Like, if you can get a Nick Bosa in the top 3, it's really hard to not, because the probability of a guy in the top 3 that's a defensive end working out is a lot higher than a guy that's taken in the 2nd round or the end of the 1st or whatever, because for edge in this draft, the drop off from Hutchinson and Thibodeau to everyone else is pretty significant. Like, not that those other guys are bad, but these two are just so good. It's going to be really hard to not take them.
Right. That's fair enough. I guess we'll see when draft day comes, but keep in mind, we're going to keep talking about this. I think this will be fun topics to see what each of these teams want and are going to need, and, what the sources get leaked say. I think this will be fun, and we're going to keep diving into these players and who they are, and, what teams we think they fit with best. So stay tuned, definitely.
Yeah, stay tuned. This is going to be a fun draft year, except for me, because I don't have a first round pick. It's fine. Everything is fine. Though apparently the Colts have already met with Purdue wide receiver David Bell multiple times. That would be awesome. Can we take him, please?
All right, we're going to see. But I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to talk about today. So, Chelsea, would you mind just go ahead and outroing us real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at _LC football _ and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Later.